start small, very small. Let's pick one specific area that our benefits could get, really fast. And then you scale this, because with these start small projects, you see the benefits very short term, and you get the money because it's a return on investment. You get the money to reinvest on something bigger. But in order to run this journey, you need a leader within the company, within the customer company, that has a great ambition, a huge ambition on digital transformation.
Welcome everyone to another episode. Today I'm joined by Regis Ataides, and he works at ANDRITZ'S. He's the VP of Metris, which is a sub-brand of ANDRITZ'S. And you have a background in mechanical engineering. You used to work at Embraer, the big Brazilian aerospace and aeroplane company, transitioned into roles at Siemens, Schneider Electric. You have a seasoned career. First of all, welcome to the show. And second of all, can you explain a bit about your journey into industrial automation from what you studied all the way to where you are now?
Good, very good question. Thanks for inviting me to the show. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you, and of course with all the audience for this very nice show. By the way, I've been watching the other episodes. It's really nice. It's really touching. Just a very brief about my career, my journey. I have been a software guy since the beginning. So for me, software since the beginning of my career, since a long time ago, I truly believe that the industry transformation to digital solution would happen. And I worked really hard on that from several different positions. So as you mentioned, I graduated as a mechanical engineer back in the beginning of the 20s. And then my first job was at Embraer. Embraer was the end user, was the guy who was using the software to design aircraft, more specifically to design aerodynamics. So all of the aircraft that the guy flying around the globe from Embraer, Embraer 190 and Embraer 170, those aircraft, I worked directly on design the wings, design the aerodynamic on those aircraft. But at that moment, using the software to design it. So I started my career in the software side. And my master of degree is also in the software development. So where I had the opportunity to write some codes of the software to use it on a daily basis. Then this transition from Embraer to a software company was it was a big step for me, to be honest, but was a transition from the end user, from the end customer, to the company that provides the software for those companies. Yeah. And the first initiative was to work with a huge company, global company called ANSYS, who designed this kind of solutions to the market for several different industries. So Embraer and aerospace industry was just one of them. So in there I had the opportunity to work in different positions. So executing consulting projects, selling, management position, technical support manager, this kind of stuff. So I experienced different sides of the same software solution for industry. 100% focus on industry. Then my transition to Siemens. Siemens is a global leader in automation, but also in software solutions. So at Siemens, I worked for 9 years in different perspectives, different positions. Again, one of my last positions were related to a director of the whole sales process for software, industrial software for the whole South America. So I used to travel a lot, by the way. So there was a big moment in my career. So Siemens is a huge company. Everybody knows Siemens. We had some great win cases in the market. There was really outstanding process in my career. Then I decided to move to more specifically automation. So that was Schneider Electric, where I was responsible for all of the automation solutions for Schneider Electric, very specifically. And now putting together not just software solution, but also hardware solution like PLCs or this kind of stuff. Recently, I accepted this challenge in my career, and I took over the Metris technology. What is Metris? Metris is the digital solution for that ANDRITZ'S has developed for several years and provided to the market with a bunch of softwares, bunch of solutions for industry application, IIoT mainly, but also with artificial intelligence, lots of asset management, but everything related to industrial applications. So IT, OT has been the main challenge in my career, but has been part of my whole career since the beginning.
And in your whole journey and being involved in digital transformation this early as well, how do you see that your background in mechanical engineering has influenced the way you approach the digital transformation journey now?
I wouldn't say that's mandatory, but it's very good if you have this technical background. Digital transformation for industry requires a very good technical background, because all of the discussions that we have, no matter if you're talking to the shop floor guy or with the engineering director or whoever in the company, you need to go deep into discussions with these people to understand their needs and provide the best solution for them. So my technical background and mechanical engineer and software, even further, that helped me a lot to drive this kind of conversation. Of course, that you need to add more other skills to your skill set. Like in my career, for example, I decided to drive my career to the sales perspective, to drive more business conversation than just technical conversation, but all together, putting technical and business conversation at the same time. So this part of my career where I had the opportunity to work with sales helped me a lot to grow in my career, and helped me a lot to bring this digital transformation solution to the customers.
Got it. And so if you bring a solution to the markets, both on a technical front, but as well as like organizationally, like sales, how do you structure their buying journey? Because like for greenfield projects, you can deliver something turnkey that is digital all the way. But many projects that we're seeing, and I suspect you too, are brownfield, and you need to find a balance between short-term wins as well as long-term actually transforming this organization. How do you approach this problem?
That's a very good question. What happened in this kind of industry is that there is a recent research showing that one single decision in terms of digital transformation in the customer's perspective requires at minimum 15 people to align and take the final decision. What I'm trying to say is that you have to convince a lot of people to bring this, to embark or to board this journey of transformation within the company. And these people, they are C-levels, they are management positions, they are shop floor guys, all of them. We need to board all of them on that. For different people, you have different approach. I mean, when I go in front of a CFO, for example, I talk about return on investment. I talk about how the money invested is going to return on money to the company. It could be on cost saving, could be improving efficiency, could be for example, reducing energy consumption or this kind of stuff. If I talk to the CEO, all of the CEOs, they are interested mostly in people. Of course, people retention on their company, people attraction, and also in the ESG part. So digitalization means that if you can align the digital transformation with the people attraction, people retention, and also with the environment KPIs, with the company's KPIs in terms of ESG, that it's definitely a win speech in front of the customer. And of course, that the guy in the shop floor, what he wants, it's make his life or her life easier on a daily basis, because they need to hit several buttons to do the same thing during the day. So if you reduce that a little bit, 20%, 10%, you can reduce the time that he needs to work. And that increases production, which, by the way, is one of the main KPIs for production managers. So different people requires different approach, but in the end of the day, you need to get all of these people aligned and get one single yes for everybody. So everybody needs to board in this journey with different perspectives. So digital transformation is not the end. We're not there to sell software to consult. It's not the final product. Actually, reducing energy, improving efficiency, reducing costs. Those are the main KPIs to measure in the company.
Would you say some companies are already in a place where 10 out of the 15 people to convince are on board? And so it is much more lenient and possible to actually get the short-term gains?
I will say that I have been applying a statement since several years ago that I say most of the C-levels, when we approach the customer with this digital transformation journey, they say, where do I start? That's the main question, because they want to have the short-term benefits, but they also want to board on this long-term journey. I usually say that you need to have a big ambition. That's the starting point. But it starts small, very small. Let's pick one specific area that our benefits could get, really fast. And then you scale this, because with these start small projects, you see the benefits very short term, and you get the money because it's a return on investment. You get the money to reinvest on something bigger. But in order to run this journey, you need a leader within the company, within the customer company, that has a great ambition, a huge ambition on digital transformation. Otherwise, you're going to start small and keep it small and keep it small and keep it small. So that doesn't, it's not worth it for the company.
So start small, keep a vision, and make sure everyone is aware of that vision. And so it requires leadership as well to keep communicating where this journey is going.
Yes.
Got it.
It's mandatory to have this vision, even though you start small. All of the company and the leader is the responsible to deliver this speech, this vision to their people. You need to have a vision for the whole process, not just the beginning. Beginning is just the beginning. But we can talk a little bit about this recent huge change in the technology, which is artificial intelligence. And I would say that these helped a lot on this digitalization journey, because this was, for me, recently, there were two recent sparks for this digital transformation journey to start faster. One was the pandemic situation. So most of the company, or I would say all of them, or almost all of them, they embarked on this transformation because they needed to do it. It was mandatory. Everybody was working at home, so they needed to embark on that. All of the systems, all of the software should, attend these new demands. So that was really nice for the digital transformation, and it really accelerated the process. The other one more recently, was the artificial intelligence. It gave us the opportunity to interact with the machine in a human way, not just in a machine way. Sometimes you don't need to ask the questions in a very technical way to get the answers. You just ask the questions. We have here at Metris, in a partnership with Microsoft, we have Metris Copilot solution, where our users, they can interact with the software in a human way. You just add your questions. Hey, how can I measure the energy consumption of this process A and process B, compare them? You just type it. You just say it. And the Metris Copilot collect all the data, all the information. They put in the presentation to you and say, hey, this is the best one, or this is the worst one, or you should improve this one. So that helped a lot to break the barriers on the digital transformation.
Got it. And so you touched on small wins, and now with AI as well. I sometimes wonder what the strategy is in terms of cloud or edge or on-prem, because it's generally easier to ramp something up on the cloud, but then you have data residency questions to be answered, as well as potentially costs. And there's also the risk of not transforming the edge. What architecture do you recommend, or in terms of strategy, what's most successful currently?
For me, the answer of this question is simpler than people try to complicate it. The answer is cloud computer is the one, period. But what happens with some of the companies, they don't have infrastructure for that. They don't have a, really high speed internet connection to make it happen. So all of the software companies, we have to provide on-premise and we have to provide cloud solution at the same time, because some of the plants that we have around the globe, they are positioned in geographic places where the internet connection is not so good. So we need to have the on-premise solution for them. But in the end of the day, if you think about when you don't have this kind of restriction, say internet connection or whatever is the infrastructure restriction, cloud-based solutions are the best one. Because imagine for different perspectives, if you have a software that you need to store a lot of data, the cloud computing is faster than the on-premise computing because of the huge amount of technology that they put on that. I mean, Azure for Microsoft, for...
So you mean
Amazon,
they
or
have more compute to crunch the data?
They may have more compute, they may have more software more technology to manage this data. These are a huge amount of data. And of course, they have more technology in terms of cybersecurity. So that is something really important. But there are some process. I usually say that automation process, for example, because they are embedded in the machine, in the production machine, that on-premise solution, for most of the time, they are mandatory, because you cannot afford losing connection with something that is crucial for your production line.
And so
you have to have a mix
where you can be like, you can take an hour to crunch this amount of data. You'd say cloud is better. If it's latency sensitive or real time, then always keep it on premise.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, got it. And then I want to transition a bit on like from strategy to real world impact. So if you take a look at like successful implementations you've done, can you highlight like one example where you've seen major transformation on the factory floor?
Not mentioning the name of any company here, but we provide, as ANDRITZ'S, a solution to our customers related to the performance contract. What I'm trying to say is that we sell to the customer a kind of, hey, I can jump into the process, understand your process, bring technology, bring digital solution, bring my knowledge here, and we can work together for hands, and we both can reduce your energy consumption or whatever, or raw material consumption or whatever. We can create the KPIs together in 20%. If we do it, you pay me this amount of money. If you don't, you pay less or whatever. So there are different contracts here. And we have seen in our company that this kind of approach for several years, ANDRITZ'S has a huge knowledge on this field of market. We have been able to reduce our customers' cost production, time production, increase the speed, increase the productivity, increase their margin. Recently, we have done that in several different industries. You know that ANDRITZ'S is very strong on pulp and paper, for example, and we have done that in different industries this way. So what I truly believe is that if the companies try to sell software by software, they won't succeed. We need to couple it with any kind of KPIs that's going to bring benefits to the customer. On the other hand, if you give hand to hand to your customer and say, hey, we're going to achieve the benefits together. If we do, you pay me. If you don't, we can have a different approach here. That, for me, is the success formula for this to happen.
So how does it work when there's risk involved in the project? Because say we take over one of the projects as a company that is working. So a company has a project, we just don't know for certain what the ROI is. Say there's $100 million project, and at least that's what we can save in the next 10 years, but there's also a risk. So 50-50 it works. So who takes on the risk?
It's a very good question. What's important here, in our perspective, is you need first measure something that can be measurable.
Yes.
No discussion. So there is no something that you couldn't measure that you add to the contract as a KPIs. No. So we need to measure things measurable, and you need to measure things in more shorter period of time. So we are going to reduce your energy consumption in 1 year by 5% or 6%. So not take the KPIs that could take very long time to measure, like 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
Take something very, very short you can measure, and it's short periods of time, in 1 year, 2 years, and then work with the customer. That will reduce the risks. But in the end, somebody should take the risk. So most of our contracts, or several contracts in the market, there are shared risks. So for us to measure that, my team is going to do this, and your team must do this and this and this and this and that. So we both work together. During this period of time, we measure what are the teams are doing. If your team is not doing the things that we put in the contract, there is something wrong. We need to rediscuss it. So we need commitment, both sides.
Yeah.
We need measurable measurements, and we need short-term measurable. So with that, we reduce the risks.
And how about companies that are becoming digital native companies, in the sense of, like, instead of buying point solutions where there's a measurable ROI, they start to buy more and more products? For example, an MQTT broker, something like Flowfuse for Node-RED hosting. And then with all these platforms combined, they build their own application stack that reduces, for example, CapEx expenditure, or like any other of the KPIs. How would you sell to them? Because the combination of those products makes things possible, but there's no one point solution that can say, yeah, like the selling you do based on performance, it's shared performance across many products, right?
It can be, or it can be very straightforward to one production line. So let's take the performance of this production line, this product here, we're not doing for the whole company. What I usually say is that the case you've just described is the reality. So most of the big companies, they are like this. They have several products. They buy companies. They put it all together. Blah 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 blah. So that's the reality. So let's take it as simple as possible. One production line, one product, or one plant. It could be 2, 3 production lines, but one plant, not the whole company at the same time. It's not affordable to do it at the same time. We have lots of different things to complicate the process all over and remember that 15 people, you need to get aligned to sell a project. If you take a huge company, different plant mills, different countries, these 15 can
15 becomes
they can be 100.
Yeah.
So, and that's terrible to align all of the people. So again, back to the beginning of the conversation, start small.
Yeah.
Start small, return on investment, very well defined, get the money, reinvest it, scale fast, and move forward.
That's a fascinating approach to the market. New to me. I have seen, for example, Rolls-Royce with their engines for airplanes that you pay them per running hour. I like how this a sort of similar per performance go-to-market strategy works in our industry as well. But sadly, with that, I'd like to wrap it up for now. This is all we got time for. Maybe we'll invite you back to discuss more on this topic in particular. And with that, Regis, I do want to thank you for your time. Wish you a great day, and thanks for joining the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me, for having me here. It's a pleasure. If the audience wants to have an episode number 2 with Regis, we can go back here and have another conversation. This topic for me is exciting. So I love talking about that, because that's my life. I have been doing that for my entire life. And one last comment for the audience, that for me is crucial for success. People, don't forget about your people. The culture of a company is related to people. And when I say people, I say that you tried, there was sometimes that we had this in our lives here. You try to bring a very high-end solution, software solution, blah, blah, blah. And then you realize that this solution is going to replace an Excel spreadsheet from a guy that wrote it from this beginning of his career. So it's 30 years back. So he's very angry about this replacement. So take care of people. All of you guys, you want to succeed on digital transformation. Digital transformation means specifically make people's life easier. So take care of people all the time. This is it.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Thank you so much.